Squid Games, the show that took the world by storm. Well, I watched it, and if you can't tell from the tone of my voice, I don't have, I don't hold it in perfect regard. I guess I could leave it at that for now. But let's just start with a basic overview. Take it from the top. So, if you're unaware, or I guess you want a little basic recap, it's Korean, and the concept's something you've seen a bunch of times. I mean, of course, it's done slightly differently, but it's still the same old, like, a bunch of people are competing in some game to win a prize at the end, and they have to go through different little sections, to make it at the end, kind of like a Hunger Games or a Battle Royale, something like that. In this case, they're competing for money. Only a few more things I could say before I get into spoilers. This is Korean, and with all foreign media, you have to make the choice between watching in dubs, like dubbed over with English audio, or watching with subtitles. My general rule is if it's a foreign movie or show, always watch it with the original intended audio and performances. I can't imagine watching some of my favorite foreign movies with dubbed audio. There is no possible way it would be nearly as powerful or as good. Like The Hunt or Old Boy, oh my gosh, the actual like emotional scenes, those would be so shitty if they were done by anyone else, because those performances were just perfect in exactly what the director intended. But moving on to Squid Games, starting off, like the first few episodes, because it's not that long, there's like 9 episodes in total, like the first few I really enjoyed, like especially like the first episode is absolutely my favorite. Like great scenes and like music and montages, like, really powerful. I loved it so much, and everything outside of the games was great too, like just watching this character like fumble through life, excellent. I love that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, I think we're gonna like give this an 8 or 9. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the series. And they had the ball, and then they dropped it, and then they stepped on it, and then they buried it in the ground. Eh. I'm just gonna go into spoilers. I'm gonna put a time code somewhere around here if you just want to skip that and go to my final score at the end. So let's get into it. As I was saying, like, the first game was actually great and really disturbing. Like, the snipers going off after we figure out what's going on, and all those people just get mown down with the music, and just, mwah. It was really well done. Like, genuinely, like, perfect, great episode. And the next two games, and, like, the tug of war and the honeycombs, those are all, like, also presented really well. Like, the magnums just going off again and again and again, and the tug of war, like, slicing and all those people dropping. And that was also a really impressive set. Like, yeah, it was just genuinely really entertaining. But then the marble episode hits. And I know everyone thinks this episode is sad, and it genuinely is. Like, it hits emotionally, but everything except for the death of Ollie was super predictable. Like, every other character outside of the winners, like, outside of, like, the pairs that won, never got screen time outside of the game. Like, you had the thug, the main bad guy, like, the person he was playing against, you don't really see him outside ever. So, it was really obvious what was going to happen there. So, there's, like, no tension at all. I don't know, like, you've seen shows before, but it was set up really obvious. And, of course, with the rest of the characters, yeah. The old man and Gi-hoon, that was pretty good. Like, they really could have, or they really did something there where it was some character development. And the two girls, like, talking about culture, like, actually, like, getting outside and, doing something and figuring something out to do with their life. That was also pretty good. I enjoyed that. Properly emotional. Yeah, just, with Ollie, though, I don't know why he just kept on trusting the other guy, though, even though it was very clear that he was totally willing to have him killed. because he was like, or he completely turned on him. But whatever, it works. I like that. I don't think about that too harshly. And like the main reason why I bring up these like games is like the more golden standard, I guess you could say, is because later on, I feel like they don't have that. I don't know. Maybe it's just for me, but they don't have that same like punch. You know? Maybe that's just because we've seen all these people like start to die off, so like the effect wears away. Or maybe it's because like the montages aren't as well edited or the music isn't as like fitting. But I don't know. It just didn't have that same like magic, I guess you could say, as the first few games. Okay. I just want to move on, I guess, past that because there is something that I do have to talk about as the show started progressing more and more, and that's the cop character. He literally only existed to give the audience information. He had no impact on the main plot. His entire subplot, everything about him, was ultimately useless or like pointless because it didn't impact any players in the game. It was just there because they wanted to give audience information. I mean, they could have. I mean, they had two options here, right? They could have completely cut this out to keep us in the dark. I mean, that's what I liked about the earlier episodes, like trying to figure out what they were doing as we got more and more subtle hints about it. I thought that would definitely work better. But what I would really want, I mean, if they're going to include this, and those scenes are with them are actually pretty good for the most part. I mean, eventually it gets a little stupid, like when the main bad guy, the masked guy, I'm forgetting his name, but whatever, he goes after him alone, and I don't know why he thought that was a good idea, considering at that point, he already knew that he had killed someone, but whatever. I feel like that was just an unnecessary risk. And then the final chase scene was really stupid. Like, he just never hid at all. So it was really obvious, allowing him to get tracked down so he couldn't send his messages. But regardless, what they could have done is actually have him impact the plot. I mean, I'm not saying he necessarily has to, like, destroy the games, but if it disrupts it in some way or, like, contacts the players or, like, actually, like, messes with the main guy or, like, tries to take his place, something like that, it would be better than what he did do, which was nothing. So, I mean, ultimately, he kind of, like, ruins those earlier episodes that I really enjoy. Like, the ones where he's actually in them, because you know the scenes are pointless. Like, there's no reason for him to be there. Now, I have had conversations with people where they tell me that they think he actually, like, survived, and there's going to be, like, another season of the show or whatever. And I don't know. That seems super, super, super stupid if he survives that. Because that's so fucking cliche. The being shot in the shoulder, then going over a cliff and surviving. Like, that's so fucking stupid. Especially because of how remote of an area he's in. But, I mean, if they did that, at least his character would have some kind of, like, meaning. But with what we have now, those 9 episodes, he is still, ultimately, pointless. And speaking of pointless scenes, I don't remember where this was exactly, and I know these are like small little tangents, or at least a few of these next ones are, but it was also pretty stupid. And that was the moment where Gi-hoon is talking to the old man, and they're reminiscing about his experiences at the steel mill, where he was part of a strike, and the workers were dispersed, and he saw like a friend die in front of him. I thought this was going to be like brought up again, when he was in a situation and he wasn't going to let one of his friends die again. Instead, it's never brought up again, and it has absolutely no relevance to anything else. Like, that's never reincorporated. I mean, I don't know why they would put that in the show if it's just not, if there's no point to it. I feel like it's kind of just, like, wasted time. Yeah. The other thing that I did want to talk about was with the Honeycombs game, where they had that secret of licking the shape out in order to, like, make it. And because this was included, it made me start to think of, like, how you could cheat the game in other ways. Like, that glass walking episode, aside from, like, the really obvious parts where, like, the girl was going to kill the guy and everything else, I was just really confused why they didn't just lay down and just slowly, like, crawl over, like army crawl, and they could spread their weight across both parts of the walkway and just shimmy across. I mean, if you said that the evil masked man would try and stop this, then why didn't he stop the people from licking out their shapes in the honeycombs? That allowed so many people to cheat through it. I mean, thinking back, it is possible that that was just like the way the pink guys who were working with the doctor were able to like get him to cheat through that game, but no guard or no one questioned how this would be possible, like how all these people are suddenly making it through the game by licking through the shapes. I mean, so it made me think that this was actually intended as some way where you could cheat through the games. So I don't know why there's a workaround for this game specifically, yet no others. That just seems really strange to me. And also, because this is the thing I see this show brought up all the time for, is like the main thing is its social commentary and its anti-capitalism message and the debt and what the poor have to do to survive. And I don't think it's like necessarily like bad, but I don't understand why everyone's so like obsessed with this. Because if you're going to incorporate social commentary, at least make your show like good in the first place. I'm not saying the show's bad. I mean, we'll get to it, but like there's so many other problems that are like glaring to me, and I don't know, it's just a little stale to me. Yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, and how fitting is it to make it the last episode and how it ends. It's all right. I mean, I guess it's a little like sequel bait, but I don't know. I started feeling a little bit like I was getting reminded of Old Boy. Was it 2001, 2003, whatever? And man, that is a much better piece of Korean media, but that's besides the point. Like, I don't know, him going after like the system and trying to like take it down after being warned not to, and him getting the dyed hair because he was like a new man. It's fine. I don't know. A little strange way to end everything. I don't get why he waited a year before actually helping out that boy, or why he never promised that he would take care of him. But whatever. I don't know. Those aren't my main problems with this show. All right. Initially, when I was watching those first episodes, I was thinking of actually giving a show like a 8 or like a 9. I really enjoyed that first episode. But then the show kept going. I don't know. I've been debating this for a while in my head about a 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. And I don't know. I keep going back and forth. Like on the one hand, some of those sequences are still really good. Like the acting, it is really engaging, but whew boy, there are some legitimately major problems here that I don't see addressed by anyone else. And like some episodes are really super like cliche and obvious what's going on, and it got less and less engaging for me as the show went on. So ultimately, I don't know, I guess I'll be generous and just say 7 out of 10.